I am really looking forward. We are all looking forward to this opportunity. Uh, I think if you read and watch scores across the country, you recognize how challenging this is. At the end of the day, no matter how gifted your team is, no matter how experienced, or whether you're a home team or a road team, this game is the most difficult game for a coach to navigate. They're 18 to 22 years old. They see the campus emptying. The atmosphere obviously will be a little bit flat. And that's how you see situations like Chicago State going in and beating Northwestern. That's how you see a situation last year, Central Michigan. Both teams deserve credit, but Central Michigan beating Michigan on December 29th. Really tough game. You want to believe that you can get them prepared. That's why it's an advantage playing Florida in Charlotte, and it's kind of a different atmosphere. And your practice times are chopped up. People are able to come and go with exam schedules, and you want to make sure if we can build off of what we just did, then everything will be all right. But I will tell you that this will be a restless night of sleep for me as my scout, and knowing how dramatically last year was impacted by the Central Michigan game.
Appreciate it, Coach. We'll open it up for questions from the media. James, did you want to start us off today?
Yeah, I can start you off. Phil, obviously there's been a reported incident between just Juwan and Jon Sanderson. I guess, can you just give us your account of what happened between those two in practice last week?
Everything is in Ward's hands. That's as much as I have on it.
And then we know Jon didn't go to the game at Iowa on Sunday. I guess, was that Sanderson's decision himself? Was he told not to go? Can you maybe shed some light on that?
I have nothing. I have nothing on that at all.
Okay. And has Sanderson been at practice this week?
Again, it's all in Ward's hands. I have nothing for you on that.
All right.
Phil, what is Juwan's status for tomorrow's game? Obviously, it's been that you've been the acting head coach, but he's been on the bench. Is that tomorrow too, or?
I think that there's still maybe a doctor's clearance. I don't know enough about it because the privacy thing, but there will be. There's nothing that I have at whatever time it is, 4:00. But all progressions, all benchmarks are being met, and I do think that this is between. I think not only his doctors, but I think Michigan, the medical staff of Michigan, and Ward, and Juwan's family, to decide what is the next appropriate step. The next appropriate step would be for him to, quote unquote, run the game. But I don't know that at 4:00.
Anybody have?
Hey, Phil. Tom mentioned before you were on that the team, their players were having a team meeting, and they were meeting with Greg Harden later today. Was that something potentially inspired by this incident, or is Greg Harden a regular speaker to your team?
Oh, Greg Harden is a regular speaker and featured with our team. And like, we get a weekly calendar. It was on the calendar at the beginning of the week. So how it came about, or did I think it was unusual? I didn't think it was unusual. And we were not part of that. Staff was not part of that meeting, as would be normal. That's not something that's abnormal where, well, why weren't you in there? Or are you normally in there? When he speaks with them, that's their time.
Hey, Phil, obviously this incident happened before you guys even went to the game on Sunday at Iowa. It didn't seem like it was a distraction for the players at all. I guess just how do you feel like they've handled it?
I think the players' response was, I don't want to go exceptional, but I thought the players' response to being on the road, to bubbling, if that's the right word, if all that was bubbling, I thought it was just extraordinary. It spoke volumes about their growing maturity and their belief in each other, that you can win a road game. Road games are hard to win anyway. And in that setting, there was a certain air of desperation for Iowa. And so I was, as I stood on the sideline, I was really impressed with the response, the pure basketball response by these players.
Next question.
Yeah, Phil, how would you say that obviously the coaching dynamic has continued to shift this season? How would you say it's working right now, given everything that's happened in the last week?
I don't know. Like, how's it working? Calling it the way it is, it was bumpy in the Bahamas, trying to navigate our way through. I thought Juwan took a somewhat more visual step back, if that makes sense, a visual step back at Oregon. I thought he did the same with Indiana, and I thought he did the same with Iowa. He has been very active in practice. Now, don't anybody mistake that. I mean, he's, as I've said to you guys before, he's watching as much film as ever. He engages in thought-provoking conversations with whoever scout it is. We as a staff meet every day for multiple hours, organizing practice, organizing game plan, breaking down the previous game. So I think the only thing that will change, and again, I can't say what his health will allow him to do, but he'll stand up and I'll sit down and I'm not going to say it's seamless, but he's very engaged. He's not a spectator. He's a participant and has been a participant for really, I can't even remember what was right before the Bahamas. But he was an active participant, even when he was not out on the court, in the Garden or Long Beach State. He was in the back and had his voice was heard and his hands were on the plan and the adjustments that we made in all those games. The Bahamas, it was so new, and we were all kind of getting used to it, that it was a little bit bumpy there.
Phil,
I guess this,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I guess just one more. Does it feel as if there have been sort of just mounting throughout the last couple of years off-court distractions? And I guess if so, how does that affect you or the team?
I just think that it in the I think that if you live to the value that is out there, and you say family, I think everybody's family on this call has had bumps along the way. They're just not public bumps. And certainly these are opportunities to grow, I think, closer. Not us against the world or any of that kind of stuff, but I think that the value each person brings to the program can be accented in times of, call what it is, stress. And there have been X number, but I think if you turned over the rocks in every program, they would be there as they would be in every family. And do you come out of them better? That would be my biggest takeaway.
Phil, I just want to make sure I portray this accurately, like in my story. When you say everything's in Ward's hands, have you been told not to comment on certain things because of an active investigation, or are you choosing on your own?
No,
I guess?
no, it's everything's in Ward's hands. And also because of the seriousness of it all, Andrew, like speaking for one person, I have, as you well know, like a lot of these national guys are at least acquaintances, if not friends of mine, and I just haven't talked to anybody. I just think it's too sensitive, and like one word in a sentence could change people's view of it. So, and it's not easy, because I know what's being said, and I know, my daughter is very active, and she knows, and even with my own family, I just say, it's not, there's no benefit for me to comment. So when I was told that it's in Ward's hands, I said, that's perfect. That's the perfect answer. Like, I have no speculation. I have no expectations. I have no deadlines. It's in Ward's hands, and that's where it should be. Whether that means it's currently active, a decision has been made, I don't know that. I just don't know that.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions about Eastern Michigan?
I do. So, Phil, you mentioned earlier, trying to avoid what happened in the Central loss last year. Like, what are you telling the team, or what's the team's focus this year to try to make sure something like that doesn't happen again tomorrow?
Well, one is awareness. You have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge that the atmosphere will be a little bit down. You don't have the students. You have to acknowledge that exams are not a reason to not fully prepare. And you have to build off of what was a positive. Like a road Big Ten win was a really big deal. Taris Reed stepping forward was a really big deal. 6 guys in double figures was a really big deal. How did we get there? We got there by preparing. The same is true here. You have this is a tough. I'm not talking about the basketball, but when guys roll into Chrysler and they would all like to wear the Michigan uniform, there's going to be a certain edge to them. And the way that they play, where they feature this young man, Akoff, like, he is lacing his shoes up tomorrow with the intent of getting 30. And if he can get 30 and their goal is to get to 65, you're halfway there. So that's the challenge. And it may not matter if it was Eastern Michigan. It may not matter if it was North Carolina. It would not matter if it was Florida. Our purpose is that every day, every player get 1% better. And that includes the coaches. So we have to be a little bit better than we were in preparing them for Iowa. They have to play a little bit better. And you might say, well, where would that, pick up? And I'm just picking a play. Like, Trey Jackson cannot get a technical foul. Whether he didn't say anything, according to him, he didn't say, no, that's not good enough. So that's across the board. Whatever happens in the game tomorrow, we can't have guys' minds being pulled away by, referees' calls. That's just an example. Turnovers have to go down. Fast break points have to go up. Transition defense has to stay as strong as it was against Iowa. So that's the message, that you stay to your values, which is 1% better every day.
Phil, we
Anybody
know Jaylen was out at Iowa. Jace has obviously been working his way back with Jaylen. I guess how's he doing? And I guess same with Jace.
Jace had a second opinion with a doctor outside the area, and he's back now. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear. He was not dressed for practice today. Jaylen was a full participant. He was a full participant. I'm trying to get my days. Today is Friday. Wednesday, he was dressed, no contact. Yesterday was dressed with some contact, and today he was a full participant.
Thanks.
So if you jump ahead and say, do you expect that he will be in the rotation unless something overnight where he doesn't feel right? That he would that would be the anticipation, yes, that he would play tomorrow.
standing around? Does anybody have anything else? Okay, folks, we appreciate your time, Coach. We will see you tomorrow afternoon at Chrysler.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everybody if I don't get to see you individually tomorrow. Take care.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, everyone. We will see you tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.